I recently, and give me an idea. Do you find bingo to be challenging? Right.
No,
So bingo is
No,
not. There's nothing. There's no.
no,
The skill
sorry.
level involved is less than in other games.
Yeah,
Definitely. Yes.
agreed.
So we're playing bingo, and I'm thinking, why the hell are we all playing bingo? This is a stupid game. Like there has to be some explanation as to why people enjoy bingo. And then while we're playing, and I have my board, and I'm filling it in, and I'm getting closer to having 5 in a row, and I don't have 5 in a row, and it's getting closer, and the people in the room are playing, and I had a realization about bingo, which is the fun part of bingo is being in the room of anticipation and having that feeling of, oh my God, I'm almost there, but they're almost going to get it too, and I'm going to win, and they're going to, and there's this collective feeling that happens when you play bingo. Can I get a nod if you know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about? There's a,
yeah,
and I think the situation now that is all fucked up, the situation that we're having in this world is it feels like someone else is about to get bingo and they're going to get magic powers and destroy the earth.
yeah,
There's a collective feeling right now. Our collective situation feels really dire and like we're getting to the end of a bingo game. Thank you very much for showing up early and on time so you can enjoy my bingo snafu analogy. I'll take a little bow now. Let me welcome everyone. This is the Saturday service. I'm Rabbi Brian. I have a bunch of people who are watching on Facebook, on YouTube, and afterwards. And I have a lot of people who are here with me live. Hold on, I'm going to show their faces. There we are. Hello, people who are all over the globe. Welcome. Glad you're here. Thank you for waving. I want to start off today with telling you a story, and I'm sure it's happened to all of us. I'm doing a Zoom meeting, and I start the Zoom meeting, and Noah, who's on the other end of the Zoom, his mic's not working. So I say, hey, you can hear me, your mic's not working, and I can see him, and he's like, I can't hear him. And I say, your mic's not working. He says, and I can read lips well enough to know, and I've done enough Zooms, and I can say, you just said, can you hear me? But I can't hear you. Your microphone's not working. And so he ducks his head down and he starts playing with different. And then I realized my speakers were not on.
oh no,
Anyone else done that?
Snafu.
And there's that moment where you realize, oh, I'm the ass here. That's not them. Okay, that might come in later in our discussion. I'm going to tell you a quick story. I wrote this out. It's a little bit the first read. So here's the first read of this little story about me, Sparky, and the peanut butter sandwich. I just yelled at Sparky. Hey, I shouted very loud. Who, me? His little face asked. But I know he did it. He stole the peanut butter half of what was supposed to become Annie's peanut butter and jelly lunchtime sandwich. I can't believe he swiped it, but the jelly half, the prosecution's Exhibit A, sits alone before me on the counter. He's a remarkably small dog, Sparky is. I never before today considered he'd be able to counterfeit. I'm kind of proud of the little guy while I'm angry, but I am definitely resentful that now, until eternity, I'll need to be more vigilant around him. And then I remember I had made myself a piece of strawberry jam on buttered toast. Annie had already claimed her sandwich. Sparky, was punished and reprimanded unfairly. This is another story, same vein. I scared my dog pretty bad when I shouted at him because I was pretty sure, no, it's not I was pretty sure he had stolen the peanut butter half of the sandwich. He had stolen the peanut butter half of the sandwich, and so I yelled at him, which seemed to be appropriate at the time, except he wasn't guilty of it. If you've ever seen Sparky come in and out of that door, you can only see him for a half a moment because he's really small. He's Chihuahua, Dachshund, and other nefarious little breeds. He can't get up onto a counter, but I was pretty certain that he did. I don't know how he did it, but I was sure he was to blame. Everyone's had this experience. Let me see on your faces. You've had the experience where you have put somebody on blast, done something kind of like what I did with Noah, second story, of they are at fault, but you realize, no, in fact, what I did was wrong and they were actually in the right. I guess I could ask, any of you have had this experience, and I could ask the same question. Have any of you ever interacted with other people?
Yes.
Yeah.
It seems to be a thing we do, is we, and then what do we do with the residual ick? Let's put a placeholder in that, because I want to tell you something. I want to talk about something else for a moment. So welcome. I'm glad you guys are all here. There is an issue that, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Morning.
I live my cards on the table. That's not the right phrase.
Heart on your sleeve.
I live my heart on my sleeve. I put my cards on the table. That's it. Thank you. I'm open. I'm very open. And in the last week, a few people have said to me, "What's going on with you? Something's going on." And the truth is, there is a thing that had gone on, but I don't want to tell you what it is. Right? And I don't owe you an explanation as to what the thing is, but I do want to tell you that a thing has gone on in my life, because you might get a weird hit off of me because a thing happened. And at the same time, I don't want to not tell you that a thing happened because I need some support. But the circumstances are as they are, that I can't give you details as to the thing that happened without it being injurious on my side. And I'll tell you a story that's parallel to it. Maybe about 5 years ago, I'm at Magic Camp. For those of you who know, I'm a big wig at this week-long Magic Camp. And I run the morning program. I do all the classes and make sure that things run smoothly. And the night before, let's say it's the second day of classes, the night before, so the kids had their first day of classes, and then their teacher, like the guy he performs that night, and he's in the middle of his routine, and he just stops talking. And he just stares out. And I'd never seen someone have a mental break on stage before. None of us had. We thought he's doing a routine. And he's just standing. And there's like a little laughter in the audience. And he's just standing there holding a card in his hand and nothing. And then he turns and he walks out. And we all think, oh, this is awkward, but he'll come back and he'll finish the trick, like this is part of the thing. Well, he went from the theater back to the door and packed all of his stuff, and he left. I don't know this. It's talked about at the staff meeting. I don't go to the staff meetings. They're too late at night, and I take care of the camp in the morning. So in the morning, I get up and I find out something's gone on. I go into the classrooms later after breakfast, and somebody else is teaching this guy's class. And the students are all sitting there like students, and they're taking notes and shuffling cart and doing things, and someone else is leading the class. And I say, let's say the guy's name was Matt. I say, did anyone tell you like what happened with Matt? And the kids all go, no. I said, well, let me tell you what happened. And I said, he had an issue. Something happened I found out something happened last night, and he's not able, so we'll have someone else teaching the class. But nobody thought till I got there to tell the kids what the F is going on. So like they have a new teacher. Nobody told them what's going on. And it was, you can imagine the kids' relief to hear me say, Matt had a hard time. He had to leave. We now we'll deal with it. But keeping him in the dark wasn't the right move. Okay, parallel to what I wanted to get to here. A lot of you have empathic powers, and you can feel off of me maybe that something ain't right in my land. And so I wanted to call that out. I wanted to express it so that you know it's not you that's odd that all of a sudden there's a different teacher in front of the camp. It's that there's something that's gone on. And I also have given this a lot of thought, was that I want to be honest with you, and I also wanted to demonstrate boundaries and say that it's okay for, like, I know none of you are going to be mad at me because I'm telling you I can't tell you the thing that's going on because it's too, for whatever reason. But and there's a definition of boundaries that we used a long time ago, and it goes like this. Boundaries are the way that I can love you and I simultaneously. I'm going to say that again. Boundaries are the way at which I can love myself and you simultaneously. Okay. I appreciate your good thoughts. I appreciate your help. Okay. Let's go back to the topic at hand. Let me just take a quick check-in, see somebody's got something burning, tell me what's going on. Alex is not here, so Maria, I appreciate you helping out. Joe's not here. Maria's taken on that load as well. So thank you, Maria, for doing extra super duties. Okay. Continue on. Do we need to take a... I got more prepared because...
Oh.
Good. Okay. Going back to the bingo thing. Something's weird in this world right now. I don't know if I would say that it's as though the Earth axis is tilting at 5 times 10 to the negative 100% a little bit odd, that Mercury's in retrograde. I don't know that it's because we're coming up on the winter solstice. I don't know what it is that's going on, but there's something going on, or it sure feels like something's going on. And I wanted to acknowledge it collectively so that we can all hold on to each other in this situation. Show of hands, how many of you are feeling like things are weird right now? Yeah. I hope you have a chance to see all the other people's hands that went up too. That's going to bring me back to last week. I asked you last week to look at one person who was here. I said, take note of one person and see if you can carry them with you this week. Take note of one person who's on the screen and think about them, and can you be as compassionate to yourself as that other person on the screen would be to you? That was a homework assignment. If you did it or not, you're all getting A's. It's all fine. Any feedback? Did anyone learn something from trying that? Do we want to just sit here awkwardly and quiet? All right, there was another thing that we tried.
Ron has his hand up.
Yeah, go ahead.
I picked someone that I already liked on the screen, and I didn't make a point. It just, whenever I thought of her, my heart got all warm and fuzzy.
Nice.
Oh,
Made me feel good just
Right.
to be thinking good things about her.
And the flip wise is to know that that person would be thinking nice things about you. I mean, hey, that's amazing. And we can't control all of our thoughts. We can't control all of our situation, but we can stack the deck a little bit. We can try a little bit to add in some moments of extra compassion. We tried this last week. Let's see where we did. Oh, and hi, Melissa Kadinger. She sends a message on some of the other. Can't get on Zoom. Watching here. Good morning. Good morning, Melissa. Glad you're here. Instead of saying I shouldn't have done that thing, I've started to say I'm going to love myself anyway. I'm going to break this down into two halves. How many of you in the last week said I shouldn't have done that thing? I'm assuming I'm going to get full part. Yeah, everyone?
Yeah.
Everyone in the last week said some version of I shouldn't have done that thing. How are we doing on the adding in the next thought? I shouldn't have done that thing, and I've started to love myself anyway. Should we leave this as a reminder? Do we need to come back to this a few more times? We're not quite up to mastery level on this one.
Yep.
Okay, let's not feel horrible about ourselves for that. This is not easy because we're used to kicking our own ass. We're not used to saying, I'm going to love myself anyway. Maybe we'll do a little practice round right now. Okay, everybody, think of that thing that you shouldn't have done. Like yell at your small little dog who could not possibly in this universe counter surf. Like, really? He can't. Or think of a thing that you did, like kind of Zoom shame Noah that his microphone's not working and kind of giving him that look like, come on, dude, be a professional. Your mic's not, like, you should be able to have your microphone. Take a moment where you're thinking of a thing that you did that you wish you hadn't done. And at this moment right now, and it's artificial, just add in, and I'm going to love myself anyway.
Gonna love myself. Gonna love myself anyway.
It might feel a little artificial at first. I remember when the kids were really little, we were taught that we had to do this thing. We had to give 4-to-1 ratio for every complaint or criticism of the child, like put your napkin in your lap. That's a complaint or criticism or a correction. There had to be 4 moments in the bank of positive or neutral.
4-to-1, that's right.
And it's hard to do. And the neutral ones, I remember when Jen and I started doing them, we were taught, we were in a class. It was, and you just walk by your kid, put your hand on their shoulder as they're doing whatever they're doing and say, oh, look, you're sitting quietly. That was to give ourselves enough in the bank that we could later say, I need you to put your napkin in your lap. So just to say, oh, you're sitting quietly. And the first times that we did this, commenting on a neutral thing that the kid's just doing, so artificial feeling, so weird to just say to the child, oh, look, you're sitting coloring. But at least they got acknowledged. So the first times we're going to say, I'm going to love myself anyway, it might be a little awkward. Are we willing? We're going to give this a try? Give it a try.
Yeah.
Bob, you have your hand up, and then we're going to move to other topics. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah. On the other side of that coin, that I think that if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't have learned from it.
Yeah. The way we learn the most is by making mistakes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, a lot of us seem to not want to learn. Well, or at least we don't intentionally make mistakes. Let me bring us to our topic of the day. Get my cards in the right order. Hold on. Okay. Hi, folks.
Hi.
Hi.
We
Hi.
have a fun discussion today. I forgot how I wrote it. I said, a topic so big and so triggering, I'm only going to use the word one time in the entire discussion of it. Well, that got me curious as to what the word was. But let me go over the ground rules here. There is a word, and it is a topic that I want us to discuss because we use this word. It's a word we use to describe things, but I think we have gotten a little bit lazy in not knowing what it is exactly we mean by this word. So I'm going to use the word, I'm going to say it out once. And then after I say it out once, I'm going to ask that for our entire discussion, we don't use the word.
Oh,
We might mess up, and if we mess up, of course, horrible penalties to everybody here. If we mess up, we mess up. And I'm going to say, let's try to mess up less than 3 times. I'm going to use the word one time. And then we're going to have a discussion about this word. I have some quotes that I've brought in, and I have a lot of thoughts that I've had about this topic. And I want us to have the discussion about this topic again without using the word. You ready for the word? Some of you might have some guesses as to what word it is. Yeah?
Yep.
Okay, here comes the word.
Oh,
That's the word. We use
Not what
it.
I expected.
It is?
No, I thought
Nope.
it was
Okay,
what you
totally curious.
wrote about.
What
is-
word did you expect?
Not that
Right.
word.
Racism.
Racism. Okay.
emancipation.
No, it was the one that you wrote about. You wrote a
Me
little.
too. Me too.
You
Gord.
wrote snafu.
Gord.
Snafu has a real definition.
Yeah. Snafu. We talked. We got that one. Snafu. If you didn't get it, Carol, just because it'd be more fun coming out of your voice. What does snafu literally come from? You know it?
Situation normal, all messed up.
You said messed up.
All
That's what I
five.
said.
It was be snamu.
That's right, Snamu.
Snamu. Okay.
I'm with Gord. My money was on fuck or God.
Fuck or God. Okay. I actually had. That's funny you say that, Marcus, because I had this idea. Like, I have thoughts, right? And I thought maybe we'd keep a scorecard of how many times in the service each one of these 2 words got used.
How about real?
Okay, let's take a look at this word though. This is the word that I want us to look at. I want us to try to come towards some definitions of it. I want to start us off with a quote of, how many of you have heard the phrase, money is the root of this thing?
Love of.
Ah, that's exactly right.
Oh.
So it does say the love of money is the root of all blank. Not that money itself is the root of blank, although you can't have the love of money without money. But money itself is not the issue. And I thought that's an interesting little distinction. That it's not money, it's the love of it. That's the problem.
Yeah, and it only became that after the invention of money, actually. What about before there was money?
I don't know the answer to that one. Go ahead, Ron.
Salt.
Money, the love of money, money is power. And before there was money, the love of power is the root of all evil.
Oh, now we've used the word already once. That's on our score.
Sorry.
Well, no, it's okay. It's okay.
Now there's only two left.
Give me first thoughts on this topic. Anyone have an easy at your hip definition of what this word means? Yeah, Jack.
I have an idea.
Yeah, it's the least of goodness.
The least of goodness. Go ahead, Jess.
I have an idea about one aspect of that is causing pain intentionally when it's not necessary or not required in a situation.
Okay, so you remember I told you a story about this little dog and somebody yelling at this little dog? There's a reason I told you that story. I caused pain where it was not required.
But not on purpose. That was like a reaction. That's like, like I stub my toe. Sometimes we do cause pain, but it's not with thought, not with knowing that it's hurtful. I feel like there's a distinction or like a consciously choosing of causing pain.
Right?
Yeah.
There's something about intention.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't intend to, but I did. Is it evil? Oh, I used the word.
You got to put a mark under it every time.
All right, we're up to 2 of them. I do have the power to edit the video afterwards. So that might not have happened. Ron.
There is also the badness that comes out naturally without intending. It's just the last line of a Kahlil Gibran poem is, "For the truly good, ask not the naked, where is your garment, nor the houseless, what has befallen your house."
Give me the beginning of that quote again. I missed it.
For the truly good, ask not the naked, where is your garment, nor the houseless, what has befallen your house. The Tikkun Olam, the idea that we have an obligation to do good. And when we just take for granted that someone else is going to do it, isn't that a form?
Yeah. Taking goodness for granted. Now that's very far from where you were going, Jess, on your definition.
I think it's two sides of the same coin.
Okay,
I don't think so.
All right, hold on. And Sabrina, you have thoughts?
Well, what I see is what's good for one person isn't for another.
Right.
What I believe may not be what you believe. Therefore, it looks bad to one person, but it was never intended, kind of like Jess said, it was never intended to be bad. and it wasn't done on purpose to hurt somebody. It's just the way I think or the way I believe or the way I process things is different. Different cultures are exactly like that. We can't, us people, us in America don't function very well in a foreign country that we're not used to because they
Right.
do things different.
The mores are different. What is said to be good and what's said to be the opposite are different in different places. So is there a thing, and this is what we're getting at, is there a thing that exists by itself that is this?
No.
Or is
Not
this just-
really.
Okay. Yeah. Let's go with Rita, then Ann.
I think it's enjoying the pain of others.
Okay. So we
That's
have
a good
intention, causing pain, plus enjoying.
Yeah.
Hey, I have a question. Anybody was really excited last July when Mar-a-Lago was found to have secret documents and that train started to go? Would we say that we are this because we enjoyed the pain with intention on the suffering of someone else?
Sure.
I'm not kidding.
It was just acknowledging that's just the way it was.
I had some glee. I had some glee at the suffering of other people.
Schadenfreude.
Right? Schadenfreude. Go ahead, Anne.
I tend to reserve that word for really extreme cases of irredeemable inhumanity.
Unredeemable. I like that word.
Irredeemable.
Irredeemable.
They're off the scale. Like there's no gray area where you can make amends. They're never going to make amends.
Yeah. So we're getting to something, and this is what one of the things that I had seen was that this word is the opposite of the God word in some way, in that the word God we use to be a placeholder for our highest ideals, right? We're all
I
used.
thought you weren't supposed to use the word God.
We're not.
You listed 2 words, and you were going to count how many you used.
Oh no! That was just that. No. Thank you. No, I was just saying which word. I thought it would be an interesting thing to see in this or other religious services how many times each word was used. No, I'm all right with today using the word God. I just didn't want to use this word because, but what my point was that we can use the word God to mean a placeholder for our highest ideals, right? We talk about the spiritual life having values. That on God can be the placeholder. Love is a placeholder for our highest ideals, and this thing is the opposite end of our scale. Let's take from Al and then Rob.
Yeah, for me, evil is a word I don't like to use.
Oh, good. You just gave us our third mark.
Just used it.
Is that the third one or the second
Sorry
one?
about that. Yeah, I don't like to use that word. Sorry.
Right. That's why that was my point in us not using it. So go ahead and tell us more.
Yeah, then you wrote it on the board. It's hard not to.
Go ahead.
But to me, it's a artificial duality to define what good is.
Correct. You are in leagues with Schopenhauer and some other really good thinkers who said it is nothing more than the opposite of good.
Right.
And one of them went so far as to say that not good is caused by good. And if we didn't have good, we wouldn't know not good. And if we didn't have not good, we wouldn't know good.
Yeah, I've been watching Star Wars a lot. That's a big theme there.
Go ahead, Rob. Al, were you done? Sorry, bud.
Yeah, I'm
Just
done.
Okay.
put a D in front of it.
Oh yeah, we got to talk about that too, then, don't we? All right. Well,
Yeah.
we will get to the D word in a moment. I wanted to bring in.
And then Anne also has her hand
Yeah,
up.
go ahead, Ann. Sorry.
Some years ago, for 3 years, I went to an interfaith spiritual center that was based on Vedanta.
Uh-huh.
And our senior minister, who is grounded in Vedanta, defined that word
Well played.
as ego vainly ignoring love.
Ooh, say those 4 letters again.
Ego
Ego vainly.
ignoring love.
Ooh,
I like
that's a
that.
cool little acronym.
Say that again.
Evil vainly.
Ego.
Ego. Vainly
Ego.
ignoring love.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys know that if a word spells out itself, it means it's extra true.
Ego.
Yeah,
I just
Maria.
I just want to add something. Someone posted in the chat. This is what they said. Who is qualifying suffering? How do you know it's suffering?
Correct.
Could it be that there are consequences for behavior? And if we appear happy, pleased that someone is caught for an inappropriate behavior, could mean an opportunity for correcting that behavior.
I don't know where to go with that. I apologize. I might have missed a moment of it. So help me to digest that, Maria. Can you?
Well, I can't. I don't know if the person who wrote it wants to sort of talk a little bit more about it, because it wasn't my words.
Okay.
I'm here. It's Marcella.
Okay.
Thanks, Marcella.
It was Marcella.
Should I go on video?
It's up to you, hon.
That's up to you.
Didn't know if that would be easier. So I came in late. So if this is totally off, I apologize. But looking at the word, Eva, when you posed the question, like, how did people feel when, things were found at Mar-a-Lago, and, some feelings of comfort and joy. So then the question I pose is, are we assuming there's suffering going on? So that's one question. Who's saying there's suffering going on? And also, when I look at it, it's like good, because a lot of people could be possibly hurt with a behavior that would not be expected. And therefore, I feel good because it's an opportunity for correction on many levels.
Right.
So that's kind of where I was going with it.
If it's an act that causes somebody pain, but it saves 100 other people.
Yes.
Now it's starting to get really strange. Kip, you have something to add in. Thank you, Marcella.
I'm uncomfortable with the word as well. And I'm most uncomfortable because, especially with all the things we've defined here, they involve my judgment.
Yes, sir.
All of these have to be my judgment of a situation, that something's irredeemable or it's causing pain without being required. Try to stay more humble, and I don't know. And I'm not going to say this doesn't exist in the world. I'm not going to say that for a minute. I'm going to say, for my use, I'm going to stay away from it for the most part, because judging it becomes it.
Yeah. That's yummy, yum. Wait, hold on. I have a quote here from Thomas Merton did a translation of, I can't remember, of Chuang Tzu. It's Chuang Tzu. It says Tao here. It's not. There's a quote we've done previously. Unawareness of one's waist is the sign of a belt that fits. Unawareness of one's feet is a sign of shoes that fit. If you're not noticing it, you don't notice. It's fine. Unawareness of right and wrong is a sign of a mind at ease. That the only thing that it's when we're thinking, let me try this on another way. Here's the garden story in the Bible, that God created this tree, and in the midst of the garden there was a tree of the knowledge of good and evil. But of that tree, the tree of knowledge of good and evil, thou shalt not eat of it. For the day I love King James Version, but it's not working for me this morning. For the day you shall eatest thereof, you shall surely die, and you shall be as gods, knowing good from evil. there's this story in our collective culture that knowing good from evil is a godlike quality. Animals aren't thinking morality the way that we do. Anyone have a different on that one? That this thing exists outside of human contact? That there's this outside of humanity? Or is this something that we just made up? Sabrina, you have your hand up, and yeah.
Yeah. I think language is one of the most difficult things that's ever been invented, because it gives us this tool to judge or not judge, or to praise or not praise, all of that kind of stuff. And if we think about everything, including the word for today, as a part of a continuum. So in your example, let's say God to that word is the length of that continuum, however long that is. It's all part of the same energy. So it doesn't matter whether we're talking about good or bad, it's all the same energy. It came from the same place. Without the energy of the universe, nothing exists.
This is like I'm all right with being one with the universe, but I'm not ready to be hit by a truck.
Well, yeah, for me, I had to think about it for a long time, and the longer I'm with it, the easier it becomes to see it as all one thing. Both sides. It's all one
right,
thing.
that at the very far end of this negative infinity is the end of positive infinity.
Except that's what we call it that, but that's not what it is.
It's not what this starts to get very metaphysical and woo-woo. And go ahead,
Right.
Ron, Jack. Jack.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, God is love, and God has no opposites.
Well, infinity has no opposites. There's a problem. There is some problems with that definition is a great idea. God is love.
Okay, so God decides to take on human form.
And now we're into a lot of opinions already.
Right, exactly. Well, to a great degree. I mean, this is what has happened since eternity, and will continue to happen, in all eternity. And we throw around the word suffering as if suffering is an exact duplicate of pain.
Correct.
And suffering at its essence means to allow, to let happen. And the world is a world, we live in a world of suffering.
All right.
It's positive and negative,
I want us to not lose sight. Well, I got three things going on here. One, duration, amount, distribution. Here are three things to think about when what's the lesser of two blanks? Is the duration. How long did it last? Is one way that people look at how large a act is. How long did it last? How many people were affected, and how bad was it? Cause of it. I'm not going with the cause of it being adding in a D at the beginning of the word. I don't think that's that doesn't fit in my theology. Causes of this. Catherine Schultz, who was one of my favorites, go watch her TED Talk on making mistakes. It's brilliant. She says something about where this comes from. And she says it's the third stop on a train. And it goes like this. I'm going to cover it up first. This is a fictitious conversation. This did not actually happen. But Annie says to Jane, "Mom, you got to take me to the store." Jane says no. Annie assumes that if Jane only had the facts, she'd take her to the store. But Mom, I need a new pair of pants take me to the store. Jane responds, no. Annie, now knowing that Jane has the facts, realizes that Jane is not reasoning properly. Mom, you need to take me to the store. I need a pair of pants. And you yourself said that I need to step up my look. Whatever it is. Jane still says no. The next step that, and I see it happen with my almost 14-year-old. I see it happen with me. I assume that if I've given you the facts, and if I've reasoned it out with you, and you still say no, there's nothing left for me to think. You have the facts, you're not agreeing with me. You have rational thought, you're not agreeing with me. I now say, Mom, you're trying to ruin my life. You hate me. It's just 3 steps in. We can go from having a relationship with someone to realizing that obviously there's something wrong with them because they can reason, they have the facts, but they're doing it wrong. What's the cause of this? The cause of it is you not agreeing with me.
Ego.
Yeah. Let's take 1 or 2 other thoughts.
Lack of intuition.
Yeah, go ahead, Carol.
I think that really changes the whole perspective. I think there really is evil. I think that what happened in the Holocaust is evil. And I don't really want to sit down and sit with Hitler and say, why do you hate the Jews? Why do you enjoy mass murder? That does not interest me. What interests me is that what he was doing was totally destructive. And when I see the same thing happening again in this country, I don't want to say, I really want to have compassion for Trump because his parents didn't love him. He is endangering the whole country. Correct. And I think that we have to have larger compassion for humanity. And right. That will be the standard, not my perspective, but the perspective that humanity must not be destroyed.
It is in all of our best interests. Yes.
So I don't think that being glad that they found the documents at Mar-a-Lago is schadenfreude. I think it's really saying, okay, we have one less thing to worry about, but we have plenty to worry about because they just found 2 more documents somewhere else.
Oh, I didn't know that one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They found it in an archive that belongs to the government that he had keys to, and he stored 2 more documents there that were called classified.
In a storage unit.
Yeah.
Yes.
In West Palm Beach.
I'm going to get, I turned to Religion Outside the Box to get your news. That's I did.
Well, I just think that there are things that annoy us, and there are things
Correct.
that really hurt humanity. We have a sense of what it is to be human. We don't, and I'm not sure that animals don't, because I think they take care of their young. I think they take care of an older one. They gather around and protect them. So I don't think we're the only ones with a big judgment of what's dangerous and what isn't. But I think
would
it's
you
important
agree that most of it comes from our thinking? Like there's a quote from Shakespeare where Shakespeare says there's nothing good or evil except thinking makes it so.
I think that's wrong.
Exactly.
Okay.
I think that's wrong. I think that if we decide to destroy humanity, that's wrong. Okay. And it's not because I think it's wrong. I think it's wrong because we were created and we are valuable. And we don't always live up to what we were created to be, but that's what we're working towards.
Thank you, Carol. Sabrina, you had something you had emailed me about the cause of people's discomfort. I don't know if it's something that you would feel comfortable sharing, if you remember what I'm talking about.
Sure, I would. And if you don't mind, I'll just go through essentially what I sent you, but I've shortened it up a little bit.
Thank you.
And I kind of categorized it a little bit better. So what I wrote to Rabbi was, humanity operates in a fear zone anytime something or someone is different from our current capacity to accept differences.
So when somebody sees something that's outside the norm,
for them, yeah. Differences reveal our own hidden secrets. We create violence or hatred to cover up these deep insecurities. Every time, every case in history. Humanity sees reflections of themselves in other people. Most people cannot recognize, much less accept that reflection, but instead use it for attack on other people or groups or beliefs. Exacerbating human frailties are those in power or position of influence threatening and or making laws to blame and contain those who can least defend themselves, especially, like in my case, transgender people. Too many leaders, whether religion, education, or politics, are not in fact leaders who help people to a better life, but are vultures and whores who themselves succumb to the lowest common denominator by preying on others for their own ego, power, money, and control, with little regard for humanity's needs. In my opinion, religion is the worst offender and the most violent when it comes to freedom of individual expression and sense of who individuals are as unique humans. Religion is by far the strongest tool of repression, violence, and lack of integrity throughout history. The amount of myth and made-up facts that people believe today, even with abundant evidence to the contrary, reveals how stuck we are in tradition.
Thank you, Sabrina. Thank you for bringing that to us. That the hatred comes from not knowing and feeling uncomfortable.
Yes.
Yeah. I appreciate that. Let's take a moment taking all that in. Maria, you have a list of a few people who asked for prayers to be said. Would you do that for us?
There we go. I will. This is the list of names this week for lifting up and sending positive energy to. The victims of the École Polytechnique shooting, the victims in the Winnipeg murders and their families, people on the island of Jersey, Joe, Ken, April, Linda S., Nadine, Rita S., Paris, Carrie, Marcus, Emma, Jerry, Akri, AJ, Fritz, Pierre, Carol Good Hansen, Amy, Sandy. And if there is anyone else in the community, please put their name in the chat and I will add them to the list.
Great. And let's take a minute of silence starting right here at 10 seconds after. Well, thank you all. A few announcements as normal. Hey, this is still true. It's okay to not be okay. It's rough. it's rough. Life is rough. It's not all peaches and sunshine and rainbows. And sometimes you have a hard time. And please remember, it's okay to have a hard time. And it's not necessary to kick your ass for having a hard time. Other announcements. We started something last week, this week, which is if you want to show up here starting a half hour before 8 o'clock when the service begins, the room's open. It's there for mingle and chat time. Bob and Shmuley have offered to host that discussion. If you want to show up early, to just know that you're welcome. I'll be on about 10 minutes till, but that people are welcome to mill around and to say hi. Other announcements. What do you got? All right. You'll all be receiving emails from the Sustainability Committee probably this week. There was a snafu in the import of the records. So, and that was human error, and that would be mine. What are you taking with you today? Let's do this as a little exercise together. So in about 10-15 minutes, y'all be in small groups, and I will be at my computer here trying to write out here are the 2 points, here are 2 ideas that come out of this service today. And then I send that out to 3,490 something people who aren't the ones, you guys who are here. What would you think the one sentence takeaway? Give me a sentence. What did you take? What's a quote? What's a learning? What's something you got with you related to today?
Accepting people's thoughts regardless of what they are.
That acceptance means just that. You're thinking more about acceptance today, Jack. Thank you. What else are you thinking about? What are you going to leave here doing besides
how different we are from our history is so different from each other.
Yeah. It's almost in a give me, these don't have to be perfect thoughts. The relishing difference, the importance of relishing difference.
Yeah. Forgiving ourselves when we
yell at the dog.
Yeah.
Ego vainly ignoring love.
I like that. What else you got? Some of you are correct when you see the 2-point summary and you think, that's not exactly what we talked about at all. Yeah, you're right. Maria, I'm getting a little bizarre hummy echo.
I am too, and I can't figure out where it's coming from. Somebody is hearing some echo on their system.
Well, that's interesting.
It might be motion.
Contact.
All right. Well, we will move on without this. Gremlins. Folks, next week I'm gonna be here again. I thank you all for showing up. I'll do my homework. That's on me. I thank you guys all for coming and for bringing. Hey, some of you brought friends. Extra bonus points to you, and some of you are logging in for the first time, and I'm glad to see you here. And thank you for showing up. I'm going to stop the recording.